And with that, we are now ready for Sean A with Inertial Drift 100% Viv.
Hello everyone and good morning. So I'm going to be running Inertial Drift 100% Viv. I'd like to just get started just to sort of explain what this game is, because if you don't have that going in, it's kind of hard to get a clear picture of what the game actually is. So it's a twin stick racing game where the left stick turns and the right stick controls your drift angle. And I'll get more detail to that, but I just want to get that out of the way. So if I say press the drift stick in a direction, that's what that means. Anyways, we're going to do 100% Viv. It's the hardest campaign in the game. We're going to be getting every gold medal. Let's get started. 3, 2, 1, go. So we're just going to be in a loading screen right here. And when that finishes, we're going to be going into our first event, where I'm going to be explaining more about exactly how this car, the Chrono, controls. So the Chrono has very low acceleration, but has a pretty high top speed and exceptional handling. So there's sort of three main ways we can do drifts. We can hold down the gas and hold down the drift stick to sort of do this slow increase in a drift angle like this. We're also able to let off the gas to then do a faster increase in drift angle, though that drift will not come out until we actually go back on the gas, and it'll come out with an angle depending on how long we were off the gas for, just like that right there. We can also brake to bring our rear end out instantly, and we can use that for really, really tight corners. So this first event's a style event. We're supposed to get points by doing cool drifts, but it's so easy that we can actually just drive it for speed and still easily meet the gold medal. This first track here is kind of a tutorial track, so nothing is too complex. This next event coming up here is a duel. The way duels work is when either your opponent's ahead of you or you're ahead of the opponent, whoever's ahead will start gaining points, and those points will be depending on how far you are ahead. And the first one to get to 1,000 points wins. Now, since Chrono has really, really bad acceleration, these duels are going to just take the form of your average Initial D episode, where they just blast ahead at the beginning and then we show up in their rearview mirror eventually and go for the pass. So that's going to happen right at this corner up here. So the goal of this is to just pass as early as possible. Once you're far enough ahead, the rate you start gaining points will stop increasing, and you'll be at a set rate. That will happen somewhere on this bridge. So once you're at this point, where you're at the max rate of gaining points, you can't really gain or lose time anymore. So all the time you're going to gain or lose in this event is in the sort of first 30 seconds or so, but it sort of compounds, because the earlier you pass, the earlier you start gaining points. And so it actually matters a lot to pass really, really early. You can save or lose a lot of time that way. But once you're here, it's sort of just, I could crash into a wall and it won't actually affect anything. So as you might be aware, there is a donation incentive for Snow Mountain Sprints. So that is in a different character's campaign with a different car, and it's designed to be literally impossible. If you've played the game before, you know exactly what event I'm talking about. And you might have actually assumed it was impossible. It's not. You can sort of just barely squeak by it. So hopefully that will be met and I can show that off. Anyways, we're in the last of the events in Lakeside Loop, the first track here. There's 3 events per track. So this is a time attack event. Goal is to just beat the gold time. We should do that very easily. Time attack events actually have a platinum medal, which we should also be getting. If we don't get it, that means we had a really bad lap, because the platinums are not too hard to get once you know the tracks and cars well. Something that is kind of unique about this game is how diverse the cars are. So this game has 16 cars. The game describes them as furiously individual, and I completely agree with that. Every car controls completely differently. People have likened it to like a fighting game, where different characters will have different movesets and stuff. It's also, I think, another good comparison to something like Kirby Air Ride, where sort of each of the cars interacts with the core mechanics in completely different ways. They're not just change stats. So this is another duel against the Jet, which is actually a B-class car, but since it has good acceleration, it's going to pull ahead at the beginning, but it's not going to take us too long to pass. Very interesting piece of movement tech is coming up in about 5-6 seconds or so. Actually, I actually don't know how many seconds it is, but it's this turn up here. So we're going to go in, and then we're going to just... Boop. Oh, no, that was incorrect. Okay. So what I attempted to do there was called a bug slide, where we use the letting off the gas drifts to do a really, really tight corner like that. So how that works is, as I said before, when you're drifting when you're holding the drift stick without gas on, then your angle will start to increase, and when you go back on the gas, that drift will come out depending on that angle. So I'm using a visual setup of the orange bar in the bottom of the screen, and when that's over 2/3 full, that will give me the angle I need. When you're over 90 degrees in angle, it's going to give you a much tighter corner than you would otherwise get, even if you're slightly below 90 degrees. So being able to get that angle and have it come out very quickly will really help you on tight corners, because you can get through them without slowing down. The issue, as you saw on the first one there, is that if you have too steep an angle, your car will actually spin out. And then that will lose you a lot of time, especially in chrono, because its acceleration is so weak that losing acceleration by spinning out and slamming into a wall, or losing speed by spinning out and slamming into a wall, is going to cost you a lot of time. All right, so this next time attack event here, I've grinded this track car combo a lot, so I kind of know what good times are. The world record in this is a 119.89, which I actually got yesterday, which I was very happy about. But anything in the low 20 range, like a 21, 22, or 23, I'll be pleased with. But it's very hard to keep speed, especially through that corner right there. You notice I touched the walls a bit. In general, this game is pretty lenient with touching walls. It's actually a variable depending on different cars. So different cars are actually better and worse at bonking off walls. Chrono's sort of middling. There's actually a few cases in Chrono where you actually want to hit a wall to slow you down instead of braking, because Chrono's brakes are pretty bad. But other cars, for example, the Bullet in C-Class, its handling is so bad and its bonk potential is so good that on almost every corner in the game you'd want to bonk off, which is a lot of fun. Some people think it's silly, I think it's great. But anyways, we're going to come up to the end here. This looks like it's going to be a 2-1, I think, which is more than acceptable. You can see it gives us 3 laps to do that, but I am just doing the first and then immediately finishing the event because I get the medal. So this last event on this track is going to be a race. I want to use the races to talk about the cars we're actually racing against, just because I think the cars in this game are so interesting. So the car we're racing against here is the Raptor, which is actually one of the top tier cars of A class, which is the class we're in. It has the highest acceleration in the game by a lot. Its acceleration stat is maxed out. And it has a decent top speed, not the highest top speed. We actually have a higher top speed than it. But what makes Raptor really insane is its cornering potential. Because we have to put in a lot of work to get to that bug slide angle. We have to drive straight for a while to build up our drift angle before we can actually make it come out. If you let off the gas and tap the drift stick in Raptor, you will instantly get a bug slide angle, which is good because it means you can bug slide with losing almost no speed. And since your acceleration is so good, even if you lose speed, you're going to get back up really, really quick. The problem in the main weakness for Raptor is, one, it's hard to learn because when every turn is the tightest possible corner, it's hard to really keep that in control. It's also really hard to do very shallow corners because Raptor's cornering when it's not drifting is really, really bad. Absolutely abysmal. Maybe the worst in the game. Someone can probably fact check that for me. It might be wrong, but it's in that ballpark. And so on pretty much every corner, no matter how shallow it is, you need to bug slide it. And sometimes, if it's wide enough, you'll need to do multiple bug slides in a row, going to bug slide, resetting the straight, going to bug slide, going back to straight, over and over again, in order to just get around a simple corner, which makes it very, very difficult to learn. But once you master it, it's super fast. Luckily, the AI isn't quite that good with it, so we're not going to have too much trouble beating it here. Fun fact about the AI is that it's actually just the developer driving around the track. They're just replays of the developer driving. And luckily the developer is not that great at driving the Raptor, so we don't have to worry about having to face a top tier Raptor here. Anyways, keeping speed through this tunnel corner right here is really, really tough. Ideally, we can stay above 230 kilometers an hour the entire time, but being able to do so is very, very difficult. But anything above 220 or so I would consider to be good. And with regards to, so let's see, we're going to come up to here. This looks like it's going to be a 22, I think, which is fine. It's acceptable. And then we're going to be coming into the last lap of this race. And this is also the last event of this track. So we're going to be moving on to the next track very soon. So if you want to have 1 or 2 donations ready right here, that would be great.
Absolutely. We have $10 from Imperial. Love Inertial Drift. Amazing steering mechanic and amazing soundtrack. Hyped for the Snow Mountain Sprint. Thank you. We also have $40 from Gray. Hi all, thank you so much for supporting such a great cause. As someone who has a high risk myself, this means a lot to me. Also, we can't let the Snow Mountain Sprint not happen. You all know what to do. Thank you.
You really do want to see that because it is something quite special. It's very, very difficult. It's sort of a rite of passage now for sort of people getting into the game because it's very, very difficult, but just barely possible. And so it's a fun thing where it's like, okay, I've completed all the campaigns. I'm sort of getting into time attack grinding. What do I do? And yeah, it's sort of the hardest single player thing in this game you can do. Anyways, we're just about done with this event. So we're going to cross the line about 31 seconds ahead of the opponent. Very nice. And we're going to go up to Snow Mountain Sprint. So Snow Mountain Sprint donation center is in a different campaign. All of the events here are possible. It's in the Eva's campaign, which is the campaign before this, where there's the supposedly impossible event. So Snow Mountain Sprint introduces a pretty interesting mechanic that is snow and just off-road surfaces in general. So that's going to, if we touch the snow, it's going to slow us down, but it's also going to give us an increase in cornering. So there's a bit of a trade-off there. And often we actually want to use that trade-off to our advantage. And the first instance of that is going to come up right here. If we can hook it in right. Went in a bit tight there. So the slowdown you get from the snow is going to be dependent on how many tires you actually have on the off-road surface. So if you can keep 1 or 2 tires on the road while you're doing that, you can actually minimize the slowdown a lot. And then here we're going to hook our left tire into there, just to give us that little notch to the left. And come down here. So for Snow Mountain Sprint, this is the first point-to-point track, which means it doesn't actually have laps. We just go down the mountain. A good time here, or a perfect time here, is just under 150. If I get anything in a low 150 range, I'll be pretty pleased. Anyways, we're going to come up to a pretty tricky chain of 4 bug slides in a row coming up right here. Let's see if we can pull it off. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I was actually, it's 5 in a row. I was supposed to bug slide that 5th one. I just forgot the corner existed, but we made it around it all right. Gonna do something here called a brake micro drift, where if we set up a small drift angle and then brake through the corner, then we're actually gonna tighten our corner quite a bit, so we can avoid the deceleration that we would normally have from having a very large drift angle. And just finishing that up with 152 is all right. Gonna come into the second style event right here. So something interesting about style events is that they can't, for whatever reason, be done on point-to-point tracks. So this is actually going to use the alternate layout for this environment. Each environment has 2 layouts and then reverse layouts for each of those. So there's 4 tracks total per environment, 5 environments in the game, 20 tracks. So this is Frozen Precipice right here. It looks like the middle of Snow Mountain Sprint, and actually, yeah, it uses the same track parts. But pretty soon that's going to be diverging up ahead at the corner coming up. So normally we'd have a pretty shallow corner coming up and continue off Snow Mountain Sprint, but this is going to be a much tighter corner, and we're going to go down here. As you can see, we've already met the gold medal because it's easy. Brake micro drift around here. Don't worry too much about colliding at that wall. You rarely ever lose much speed from it. This tunnel can be tricky to get through without bonking on the end there. And then one more bug slide to finish it off. Very nice. And across the line. And then we're going to be doing our last event of Snow Mountain Sprint, which is a race. The car we're racing here is the Gladio. It's a very bizarre car. It's sort of a balancing act where you need to do bad things to do good things, but you need to make sure you don't do enough of the bad thing that it's actually bad. To explain that, the car drifts only when it brakes, and obviously when you're braking, you're slowing down. And further, if you brake at a corner, your corner will tighten, you can do micro drifts like the Chrono can. But the problem with that is that if you're holding down the drift stick still, you're going to be increasing your angle. But if you let go completely of the drift stick, then you're going to be resetting the straight, and then you're going to fly into a wall. So what you have to do is sort of manage the drift stick and the brakes independently to keep a small angle while micro drifting around the corner. And it's a very tricky balancing act. There's a few ways to actually go about doing it. You can do like really small partial inputs on the brakes, or you can just like do what I do and tap the brakes and the drift stick at different rhythms, which I don't understand how I'm actually able to do that. I don't think about it at all. It just sort of works, and I'm amazed at that. It's a very hard car to learn, but it has a very interesting sort of sense of flow once you get it. And I think it has a very high skill ceiling. It's not a great car. It's either the 4th or 5th best car in A class, depending on who you ask. And we should have no problem beating it in Chrono, which is pretty universally the 3rd best car in A class. But it's a very fun car nonetheless. It's worth noting that we do have a community leaderboard for this game, where class doesn't actually matter. You can actually just do leaderboard grinding just for a specific track car combo. So the meta doesn't actually matter too much there. Coming in with another 152, very nice. And we're going to move on to Sunset Sea Circuit. So this is our next circuit track. Circuit tracks tend to favor top speed cars. However, in the case of this track, it actually favors cars with really high acceleration, and you'll see why pretty soon in about 30 seconds or so. So we're going to start off with this very fast section by the coast. Do a bug slide here. Make sure not to do that bug slide too wide, or you're going to go sliding into the sand. Sand has the same properties as snow. Don't touch it unless it's good to touch it, in which case go ahead. Bug slide up here, and coming up very soon, you'll see the reason why acceleration matters a lot on this track. So we're going to come around this corner, bug slide this corner, and congratulations, you have no speed. And good luck getting it back when you're accelerating up a huge hill. So actually for the meta, Raptor is the best A-class car in this track, despite not having enough top speed, which is usually what's favored in circuit tracks because you can get rolling starts. Just because every other car loses so much speed on that. It takes so long to actually get that speed back. Again, another very fast section up here on the cliff. Coming into another part where ideally we can keep our front tires on the sand there to cut the corner a bit. And then a very tricky bug slide. What's tricky about, actually, let's talk about bonking. So these bonks are intentional. This is fast. This is speed tech. So the reason for that is the amount I would have to slow down for those corners would mean that I would actually be going slower than if I just rammed into the wall. We can't actually bug slide those corners because when you exit out of the bug slide, it actually takes a few seconds before you can bug slide again because you need a few seconds to charge that angle back up. So because of that, you can't bug slide, so it's very, very tricky to keep speed through that corner. Well, it's actually impossible. The fastest way to keep speed through that corner is to hit the walls. Is basically what I'm getting at. Our main way of keeping speed through corners doesn't work there. Anyways, we're going to be doing a duel against the Impulse. Impulse is an interesting car. It's a very strange car in that it's not strange at all. It's just a normal car. Right stick does literally nothing on it. And it's all about just managing brakes, doing racing lines and stuff like that to get around the track. It's by quite a lot the worst A-class car, unfortunately, but I think it's a lot of fun. Great sense of flow once you learn it. I think every car in this game is fun, so I guess I'll just say that for every car. But very interesting car. Pretty easy to learn because if you played other racing games, it sort of just comes naturally. It plays like you'd expect. But yeah, we're gonna be getting it down pretty quickly. And then we're gonna be moving on to the endurance. The way endurances work is they're like sort of old style arcade racing games like Outrun and things like that, where you have a timer and then you have checkpoints that when you cross them will increase your timer. And the goal is to travel a certain amount of distance. So for the gold medal on this, we're gonna need about 20,000 meters. So this is actually where the biggest difference between any percent and 100% comes in, because if you're doing any percent, you're actually driving this for half the length. And this is like a 6-minute event, so that's saving 3 minutes right there, just because you only have to get bronze. But I like completionist in this. So keeping speed through that, I was actually really good keeping speed through there. I kept 165. The best I've done is 170. You can probably go above that, but it's kind of ridiculous. So this corner is pretty tricky. It's also very interesting because every car does it very differently. You can see there I'm sort of doing this rhythmic left-right motion with my drifts to keep all 4 tires on the road. If your car has worse handling, then very often it's just best to drive straight through that corner. All right, coming up to a pretty tricky bug slide here, which I wanted to talk about. So this is tricky for 2 reasons. One is that there's sand on the outside, so if you're too late in your timing, then you're gonna end up just sliding into the sand and then losing a ton of time. It's also, among bug slide corners, very, very wide. And the result is, if you do actually as tight of a bug slide as you can, which is normally the goal of bug slides, you want to do whatever you can before spinning out. That was on the sand. Then if you do that, then you're gonna end up just slamming into the apex of the corner, which is not very great to do. Anyways, so this is actually a pretty long event, so I think this would just be a good time to read off a bunch of donations.
You've got it. I've got $50 from a tea tree. Rolling start. What's that? Oh, wrong game? Well, let's not let the inertia on that Snow Mountain incentive go to waste. Thank you. We also have $15 from an anonymous who says, never seen or heard of inertial drift, but I really want to see this impossible mode completed. Do I have time for one more? Let's see. $25 from Twilight Dusk. What a crazy looking game. Donating towards the impossible Snow Mountain Sprint Challenge. Yes, thank you. We're almost close. We're very, very close to the incentive goal for Snow Mountain Sprint, so please keep it up.
What are we at for that incentive right now, by the way?
I'm seeing less than $300 left. We're at $32, $38, and 69 cents. We're almost there.
We're very, very close. Get that met. All right, so we're going to be doing about 2.25 laps remaining of this.
Hold on, may I interrupt? I just hit refresh. 37.58 out of 3,500. We've made it.
Very, very nice. All right. I'm very happy about that. Great work, guys.
The Snow Mountain Sprint Duel is supposed to be a forced loss segment of inertial drift, but if you play well enough, you can actually win it. Let's see it. Let's see it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. So yeah, this endurance event is actually something new players struggle with a lot, because the main thing it's testing here is your consistency. You don't have to get amazing times around the circuit, but you do have to get good enough times, and you have to always get good enough times. So being able to do that consistently is very, very tough for 2 minutes, for 6 minutes straight. But luckily I've played quite a lot of this game and this car, so plenty doable. Anyways, we're gonna be doing one more full lap after this, and then partway through the lap after, that will be the end. So if you want to read off maybe 3 or so donations, if you have them, then go right ahead.
Absolutely. I already saw some hype for the next incentive. Just want to remind folks, if you love Metal Gear, coming up next will be Twin Snakes. There's a Tuxedo playthrough incentive for the extreme difficulty. We'd like to see that met if you guys can. If everyone can, please Please, it's less than 7,000. I know. I've seen great things happen here with GDQ. Let's see it. Snake will be in a tuxedo, Meryl will be in a sneaking suit, and the Cyborg Ninja will be in new colors as well. We have a $50 donation from Outcast who says, cancer hits close home to me. I've watched AGDQ for years. I'm finally able to donate. I love everything AGDQ stands for. Let's keep it up. Thank you. We have $15. The name's in brackets. Brackets, thank you for $15.
I know who that is. I don't know how to pronounce their name, but I know who it is.
Yeah, it's an empty space with brackets, but we'll go. Well, thank you.
It sure is. Imagine having to put those on a leaderboard.
Glad to see this game at something like GDQ. It's such a unique racer that deserves so much more love. Good luck, Sean, and Boba cute.
Boba is very cute. Boba, if you aren't aware, is the smallest car in the game. It's a little tiny snail-looking thing. Very, very cute. Has like eyelashes. It's great.
Oh my
Big
goodness.
fan. Anyways, we're coming up to the very end of this. So right around the middle of this corner, we're going to be hitting it and finish event to end the event. And we're going to be moving on to the final track, which is Mount Kirino. Mount Kirino is sort of your Mount Acuna downhill type thing. It's the longest point-to-point track in the game. Well, the reverse is actually longer, but it's the longest layout. So it's about 4 minutes long, depending on your car. The goal we can actually see in the top for the gold medal is 4 minutes, 22 seconds. We hopefully won't be even close to that. So my record on this track is a 346. I fully believe that sub 340 is possible in this car. World record in A class is a 329 in the Raptor, but that's because the Raptor is wild. So just gonna come down here, some very tricky corners coming up here. Do a brake micro drift around this. See, that's the scary part about brake micro drifts, is if you accidentally let go of the drift stick, your car will reset to going straight, because that's just a mechanic in a lot of cars, is that if you press brakes with nothing else pressed, then you reset the straight. And unfortunately, I messed up the first very hard bug slide. So the issue of those bug slides, again, that one has coated with sand on one side, which makes it rough. And also, you're going at it at very high speed, because you're coming at it from a huge downhill, which means that, one, you have to start your prepping your drift from further away, and two, you have to make sure you don't get too steep of an angle or you'll start spinning out. All right, very interesting corner here. This is a big corkscrew. So we're gonna just manage our angle around this corner. So the inside and outside of this corner is coated with a surface that behaves identical to sand and snow. You can actually use that sometimes as free brakes. A lot of cars actually will just straight up use it all the time, which is pretty funny. Chrono, since its handling is really good, doesn't need to use it, but if I'm going too fast, I might realize that and then use it. Intentional bonk coming up here to get that. And then we're gonna come into the Kirino forest section. This is where the alternate layout is. There's a circuit going through this forest. Bug fly right here. Ooh, wow, okay, is my FPS low? Oh boy, that's fun. That's gonna cause problems. So, the one thing about bug sliding is the point at which you spin is actually dependent on your FPS. And the faster you're going, the more, or the lower your FPS, the easier it is to actually spin out the car. And unfortunately, I think I might be on a pretty low FPS here because of the streaming. But we got the hardest bug slide in the game right there. That is a nightmare bug slide. Around that one, and here's a chain of 8 bug slides in a row. That's 3. That's 4. And coming up here, very soon, is 5. And now they're coated in sand, which makes them hard. That's all right. That's 6. That's 7. Not great, but it's 7. I'll count it as 7. Take what you can get, honestly, on this track. And then coming into the tunnel, so we're approaching the end of the point-to-point here. Gonna go out of the tunnel into another uphill and then a huge downhill. and then one last corner, and then we're at the end. So pretty tricky section coming in here. This little chicane bit. Just keep that angle under control and you'll be able to just slide through. Start building angle up here so you can get around this corner. And then this is interesting. Let's see if we can do it well. Ideally, we can just slide straight through here without bonking. Very nice. We'll lose speed if we bonk there. So very happy we didn't. And then we could actually get up to basically the maximum speed of every car on that downhill. So that was 284. Coming in here at a 354, which is okay. Again, it's about 8 seconds below my world record, but Kirino is long and hard. So not expecting to hit that. All right, final style event. The other two style events have been very easy. That changes now. So we're actually gonna be playing this for score. I think this is where a lot of optimization is left in the run, because sort of playing for score and for speed at the same time is very hard. So you're gonna see I'm gonna be tapping against these walls to both get a 300-point wall tap bonus and to reset the multiplier on the drift. So once we start getting to about 4,000 points on the drift, that multiplier is gonna start going down where it wants us to switch the type of drift we're doing. So as a result, we're gonna be sort of tapping against the wall to reset that to try and always keep it at 5.0. Anyways, this is a pretty good pace right now. It has been a while since I've filled this event, but I sure have done it before. So I make no promises, but I'm trying my best. But it looks like we're pretty good here, so I'm gonna start speeding up, do a bug slide, and I'm actually just gonna play for speed right now, because I think I should be able to get it by the end. Yeah, we're good. Bug slide up here. And very nice across the line with over 100,000. Again, I think that's where a lot of optimization is left. So we're gonna do one final race against the Gladio. So at this point, I sort of want to talk about what to do if you want to get into this game, because I think this game is kind of incredible. I was actually talking a lot with the French restreamer commentator for this run about the game, and he commented on how I seem to really enjoy talking about the game, and that is very much true because I really, really love this game. I think it's one of the best time attack games I've ever played. And as someone who's been speedrunning since 2015, I think that means quite a bit. So if you do want to get into this game, there is a Speedrun Discord server on speedrun.com. There's also a community Discord server, which is much more active and also has stuff like the community leaderboard associated with it, which is very good for doing IL grinding. So if you want to get that, I've basically posted it in every place I theoretically could. So you can find it on my Twitter in the pinned tweet, at SupNerds, 2 S's and Sup. You can find it in any of my YouTube videos that were posted in the past month or so. So if you just type like Inertial Drift Time Attack into YouTube, it's one of my videos will probably be one of the first results, because I probably have around like 50% of the total video uploads for this game. And you can also find it in my Twitch About section, a link to the Discord. Just go to twitch.tv/SeanAB, scroll down, and it'll be right there. Pretty small community, but pretty dedicated to the game. And there's a lot of resources to help you out with learning the game. I've made tutorial videos for all of the top tier meta cars, as well as the chrono. And I plan to eventually expand that to every car in the game. But I focused initially on the ones that can actually get in-game world records. Other than that, yeah, I think it's a fantastic game, and I would love to see more people pick it up. Nice spin, dude. That was sort of the classic, you spin backwards, tap brakes to reset the straight, and then like just keep going. For styles, it's cool. Yeah. Coming into the very, very hard bug slide again. Very hard chain of bug slides. Let's see if we can do this again. So again, we have a huge build up for this. This is why it's insane. Ooh, very nice. We got that twice. Oh my goodness. I am very happy about that. And then around there, that's 2, 3, 4, and then coming through to the next set, the harder set, in my opinion, not counting the first one. That's its own breed of hard. Oh, we went very wide there. I like how the AI is trash-talking me from 20 seconds behind for failing one turn. Appreciate it. Appreciate the encouragement. Anyways, coming into the tunnel, so we're about 40 seconds from the end of the game. Or 40 seconds from the end of this event, and then there's going to be a shortcut scene, and then the game will end, and we'll move on to the Snow Mountain Sprint incentive since that got met. So just up this hill, and let's see if we can slip through here one more time without bonking. And this is pretty tricky because you're fitting through like a very tight space. And very nice. Went through there without bonking. And again, I'm bonking on the inside of these corners intentionally to slow me down to give me better cornering. And around this last corner, last straightaway, and across the line, time is coming up very soon. And time. I'm actually quite curious what that was. I'm gonna sneak on over to, it was above 35 minutes, but that is, yeah, about, looks like about 15, 20 seconds off world record. Very nice. So I'm quite happy with that. The end, thank you for playing. And now I guess we can move on to the donation incentive since that got met. So we're going to be going to Eva's campaign here. I have it set at 46 complete, which is exactly where I need it to be. And you can see the XC, that means it's on extra crispy difficulty, which is hard modes of all the first 3 campaigns. So to just give a brief overview of this donation incentive, it is, you can see that the other 2 events in this environment have a square next to them where the medal would go once you completed that event, but the duel does not. And the reason for that is that it is designed to be impossible. And so it doesn't give a medal, but it is possible, and I'm hopefully going to show that off. So start 3, 2, 1, go. So this is a different campaign, so we're going to be using a different car. The car is the Dragon. Its controls pretty similar to Kirino, but it's much, much heavier, which makes it much harder to change direction. You might say, wow, we're accelerating way ahead. Oh, nope, they're gone. So the car we're facing is the Gecko RX, and its main gimmick is that it's able to drive on snow without any slowdown. And as such, there's actually little shortcuts along this track that it's able to take that we can't. And because of that, it's able to save a ton of time on us. Look at it there. Look at that. That's incredible. So let's see how we're doing. This is pretty slow, but this could potentially be doable. Ideally, I want to pass coming right out of that tunnel, but this might still be possible if we manage to do the rest really, really good. So let's come along here. And so, again, there's a little visual setup I use that will tell me if I can win. And that's coming up right at the end of this corner. Do we see him? Yes, we can win. That's the visual setup. If he's gone by that corner, you're out of luck. There's no way. But if you see him, then there's a chance. Not a good chance because we didn't have the best start, but there's a chance. So let's see. Okay, we're gonna have to brake for a lot of these corners and brake really hard. The reason for that is Dragon cannot bug slide. So we actually just have to do these corners full send, basically. Just brake for what we need to, and then drift around. Make sure not to touch the snow or we'll slow down a lot. Dragon actually has the worst slowdown on snow of any car in the game. So avoid that if you can. So a bit worrying here is how late it took me to pass. So even though I'm ahead right now, I might not actually get enough points to win. And we'll see. It'll all come down to the very end. So I'm going to cross the line. It's going to say waiting for results until the opponent finishes. And if I get up to 1,000 before then I win. And I think I'm going to get it. Oh my god, I won by 1 point! Are you kidding?
Oh,
that's
my
incredible.
word.
Didn't he? I'm pretty sure he had 959. Oh wow.
Amazing.
So yeah, there you go. There's the one. Something interesting is that we actually get the exact same cutscene we would get if we would lose, because they didn't make a cutscene if you win, because you're not supposed to. This means canonically Eva is both a sore loser and a sore winner, where he's getting furious at Lucas for cheating, even though he won. Just a little fun lore fact for you. Anyways, that is the end of all I have to show, so thank you for watching. Again, if you're interested in this game, join the Speedrun Discord, as well as join the community Discord. You can find that on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Sean_AB, on my Twitter, or on my YouTube videos. If you just type in Inertial Drift Time Attack on YouTube, you'll find them pretty quickly. Other than that, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed